jet slammed into the Pentagon about 15-20 minutes ago, the helipad side on 395. We have no word yet on casualties. The Pentagon has been evacuated, as has the White House and the U.S. Capitol building at Blair Mansion.
Before this happened at the Pentagon, President Bush went on the air to talk about the response, the U.S. response, in light of the World Trade Center. But again, this is what happened right after he said we were going to hunt down the folks responsible for the apparent terrorist attack in New York City. And shortly after that, this is what happened at the Pentagon in Arlington.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
All right, I'm here with Michael Kelly, who was a witness to this attack at the Pentagon. I'm going to let him describe what he saw here, I guess about 20 minutes ago with me, Michael Kelly. First of all, let me just first describe the scene. This is the west side of the Pentagon, the heliport side off of Washington Boulevard. Were you driving or what?
Yes, I was in the traffic on the 14th Street Bridge, right at the Pentagon, tied up going into town, and I heard this plane come over my head. It was really slow.
What size plane?
It sounded like a small plane, but it was very, very low. And the next thing I know, there was this tremendous explosion as it hit the Pentagon. I looked over, and the smoke started coming up. Pieces of the plane and pieces of the Pentagon were falling onto the 14th Street, onto the Shirley Highway. Very scary. So I decided not to go across the 14th Street Bridge.
Did you see what size of plane it was when you got outside?
No, just but walking up here now along the road, there are pieces of aircraft spread all the way up the road, at least a third of a mile from the impact site.
This gentleman is named Todd Nelson. You were just picking up what debris. What is it? Some sort of...
It looks like insulation. I was just standing here watching, and all sorts of paper and debris and insulation.
I'm sorry, yeah. This is what?
All sorts of paper and debris and insulation were just flying down, landing on us over here. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, some sort of insulation or some sort of debris that appears to have come from the Pentagon crash coming through the air. You could see papers flying through the air, things like that.
Thank you very much, Sam Ford, reporting to us live from Reagan National. We do have more information about exactly where that plane crashed. We understand right now from the AP that it crashed near a helicopter landing pad near the Pentagon. So as far as we know, it didn't crash directly into the Pentagon.
The airliner hit the helicopter pad, which is just across the main freeway from the Potomac River. That's eyewitnesses saw the tail of the plane go into that helicopter pad, which is just outside one of many doors in the Pentagon.
That was a helicopter that just flew across the screen. That is, and as we had at least one eyewitness said this was an attack on the Pentagon from the south. He described it quite confidently as resembling a commuter aircraft, which is to say smaller than a small private aircraft and not as large as a commercial jet. It may have been a prop jet. It may have been a jet, but it's a smaller version of the jets which so many people in so many middle-sized American cities are now accustomed to seeing.
We're back talking to Omar Campos and his friend Adil Raji, who's translating for him. Now, Omar, you say this was a smaller plane, 10 to 15 passengers maybe?
No es muy grande.
No es muy grande.
It's not like too big, it's just...
tú sabes los aviones comerciales.
It's like business aeroplane.
Like a business jet,
yeah.
And it was a jet?
Yeah, it's like a business aeroplane.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And what did you see the aircraft do?
Pero ¿cuál tú lo viste exacto?
Bueno, yo lo vi que me pasó así por encima y tú sabes que venía muy bajo y movía hasta los árboles según venía debajo.
It's come very fast down, it's moved, then it goes straight to the buildings.
And big explosion?
Yeah, it's like...
es
muy grande. ¿Pero sabe qué colores?
Lo alcancé a ver que era como blanco por bajo y como así alrededor como celeste.
What color was it?
It's like white in the top, it's like blue color downstairs.
White on the top and blue on the color.
It's not like blue, like white blue. Como los aeroplanes de aquí, de América.
Algo
como así.
Algo así como los de la United, you know.
As we were driving into town on 395, there was an exit. We were trying to get off the exit for the Memorial Bridge. Off to the left-hand side was a commercial plane that came in and was coming too fast and too low. And the next thing we saw was it go down below the side of the road, and we just saw the fire that came up after that.
How large was the explosion?
It was large.
Was there sound as well?
That I can't verify because the windows were up in the vehicle.
Was it clear to you what had happened?
Yes, definitely.
So you believe it was a commercial airliner that was hitting the Pentagon?
Yes, and I'm not sure exactly where the Pentagon, where it was in relationship to where the plane went down. but they are relatively close to one another. Whether it hit any part of that Pentagon, I'm not sure.
How low was the plane?
When it was coming down?
Yeah.
It was coming down on less than a 45-degree angle and coming down toward the side of the 395. And when it came down, it just missed the 395 and went down below it, and then you saw the fire come up from it.
Were you able to see what kind of plane or what airline it belonged to?
No, I did not see what kind of an airline. I just assumed because we were so close to the airport, it was coming into land.
But it seemed awfully low to you?
Yes, and fast.
What did you think was happening?
I know that hit the ground and exploded.
Size of plane?
According to the eyewitness, he said that it looked like a corporate jet, but I have no official word on that at this point.
That's the E-ring of the Pentagon, senior officials there?
There are senior officials on the E-ring of the Pentagon. I don't know in that particular location whether or not there were any or not.
Anything else you can describe for us to the public? What we're seeing that's burned and collapsed? What goes on in that area?
No, it's obviously it's an administrative area just like the Pentagon is, and I don't have any details on that particular portion.
Okay, that's Lieutenant Colonel Art Hobart, Air Force Public Affairs.
Now, we do also have somebody to talk with us who was an eyewitness to the actual crash. He was watching from Arlington, Virginia, which is a suburb over. His name is Tim Timmerman. Mr. Timmerman, are you with us right now?
I sure am.
You're a pilot. Tell us what you saw.
Well, I was looking out the window. I live on a 16th floor overlooking the Pentagon and the corner apartment, so I have quite a panorama. And being next to National Airport, I hear jets all the time, but this jet engine I heard was way too loud. I looked out to the south, to the southwest, and it came right down 395 right over Columbia Pike, and as it went by the Sheraton Hotel, the pilot added power to the engines. I heard it spool up a little more, and then I lost it behind a building, and then it came out, and I saw it hit right in front of, it didn't appear to crash into the building. Most of the energy was dissipated and hitting the ground, but I saw the nose break up, I saw the wings fly forward, and then the conflagration took, just engulfed everything in flames. It was horrible.
What can you tell us about the plane itself?
It was a Boeing 757, American Airlines, no question.
We were told that it was flying so low that it clipped off a couple of light poles on its way in.
That might have happened behind the apartments that occluded my view, and when it reappeared, it was right before impact, and like I said, I saw the airplane disintegrate and then just blow up into a huge ball of flames.
So there was a fireball that you saw?
Absolutely, and the building shook, and it was quite a tremendous explosion. Fire trucks were there quickly. I saw the area. The building didn't look very damaged initially, but I do see now, looking out my window, there's quite a chunk in it. But I think the blessing here might have been that the airplane hit before it hit the building, hit the ground. A lot of energy might have gone that way. That's what it appeared like.
Well, there is, of course, we've heard some discussion about the fact that it could have been worse had it actually gone a little bit higher and gone into what's called the ring, the center of this Pentagon,
exactly.
which is
exactly.
This is a five-sided building.
Right. As you know, the rings are A, B, C, D, E. It has just caught the E ring on the outside, and that's why I felt it didn't look as damaged as it could be. It looked like on the helipad, which is on that side.
We were sitting at our desks having a meeting, and there was a large shutter, or there was a shutter of the building, and the sound of a large thud.
Right. You could hear the impact, and there was a large concussion, like an explosion would do the air, would be a concussion.
But we didn't know there was an explosion. It was clear. We looked at each other and knew that something catastrophic had happened, but we had no idea what it was. People began evacuating immediately and went outside, and it wasn't until we were outside we realized what had happened.
A loud bang, the ceiling, everything shook, the ceiling started to fall in, and we just grabbed our stuff and ran out. Because of generators and things, we just thought something, there was malfunction, something exploded. That's nothing of this.
When we were in the conference room, we thought a truck had hit the building. So we knew it was a bomb, because there was like 3 loud explosions, so we didn't know exactly what it was. And we were just running and trying to get out of there. I mean, everything, ceiling tiles were falling in, and what was going through my mind is when I was out there was to make sure that we were all getting out of the building okay. That's all we were just, because we didn't know what to do. We panicked. We couldn't breathe because all the fumes.
We do not know. The big question today is how many people died here today. The Pentagon is unable to give us numbers of people who were in the building at the time. Part of the area is building that has been reconstructed. Another part of the area is the older part of the Pentagon. On the ground at the time of the plane crash were two firefighters who were there for Fort Myer Fire Department. And we're listening to their story told by Harold Schaetberger, who's the general president of the International Association of Firefighters. Tell me the story of the firefighters who were here.
Well, just to the left of where the aircraft made impact on the building, we have a heliport fire station. Two firefighters outside of that station had just been put on high alert because of the reports of the Twin Towers. On an open mic to their dispatch, they called in and basically said they saw an airliner coming at the building.
Hey, I just heard another explosion of some sort. Now, it could be a secondary explosion here from something happening, but we just heard a loud pop just as you were coming to me. It seemed to be on the east of here. I can't tell what it is. It might be something that's secondary to this because we had a number of small explosions after the fire occurred.
Dave, we understood there was construction. The area that was struck by the plane and what's on fire, was that the area under construction, so maybe there weren't a lot of people in that area?
There is, yeah, there's toward the south end of this area there are construction trailers, I can say that. But I can't tell you for sure if this area would be sparsely populated. We're actually being asked to move back by Virginia State Police a little bit. We're going to try to keep this location as much as possible. The reason they asked us to move back is because, of course, they're concerned about any secondary explosions. I can tell you from my experience as a firefighter, there's still a great deal of fire inside the Pentagon. Right now, as you can see, I assume you're taking our picture. I do not have a monitor, but right now we just had a middle section here of the E-ring of the Pentagon collapse from the amount of fire and destruction from this. So obviously there was a great deal of damage here. It just collapsed. We don't know who is inside or how many people are inside. You heard somebody, one of the people who was inside the building, talk to us a short time ago and said this E-ring of the Pentagon has a great many senior officials. So if somebody was planning something, this might have been the place if they wanted to get senior officials. Again, most of the fire on the outside of the building has been extinguished. There's still some spot fires on the outside of the building. And still, from what I can see, a great deal of fire inside. So now you have a gaping hole on the west side of the Pentagon here at Washington Boulevard, and this collapse just happened. It was not an explosion, a secondary explosion. This apparently the damage from the great deal of fire and the structural damage from the plane crash.
All right, Dave Statter, reporting from the Pentagon. Here you can see from Dave's camera shot several people being escorted out of the Pentagon. The Pentagon is being evacuated, as is the White House, the U.S. Capitol.
They're evacuating us now. They believe another plane. This could be a rumor, but they're evacuating everybody. Possibility of another plane coming in this direction. Certainly, but this is a major evacuation at the moment. Again, it could all be rumor, but FBI is evacuating everybody out of this area. I've got to go at the moment because they will not let me stay here.
Be safe, be safe. And we heard from Frank Herzog that boom that Dave thought he...
Chris Plant, tell me what you've learned since we last talked.
Well, in speaking to people here at the Pentagon as they're being evacuated from the building, I am told by several people that there was, in fact, an explosion. I was told by one witness, an Air Force enlisted, senior enlisted man, that he was outside when it occurred. He said that he saw a helicopter circle the building. He said that it appeared to be a U.S. military helicopter and that it disappeared behind the building where the helicopter landing zone is. Excuse me. And that he then saw a fireball go into the sky. But initial reports from witnesses indicate that there was, in fact, a helicopter circling the building, contrary to what the AP reported, according to the witnesses I've spoken to anyway, and that this helicopter disappeared behind the building and that there was then an explosion. That's about all I have from here.